welcome to Beauty Over 40. My name is Lavinia. Thank you guys for joining me. Today we are discussing highlight and contour. If you'd like to see how I created my look, definitely stay tuned.
I'm down if you're down. Let's ride out right now. We'll go where there ain't no crowds, somewhere underneath the clouds. I'm down if you're down.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. So I already have my foundation on, and today I'm using my Doublewear by Estee Lauder Amber Honey 5N2. So when I do my foundation, I do not put foundation underneath my eyes because I'm a middle-aged woman and I have wrinkles underneath my eyes. So I want to put as less product under my eyes as I can. And also it depends on, what kind of coverage you want. So the concealer I'm going to use today, and concealer I love, I use pretty much every day. Being a middle-aged beauty, it is important to me to have coverage, but also to use something that is not going to dry me out underneath my eyes, which is then going to lead to like cracking and peeling and things like that. So I want a concealer that has really good coverage, but also that is a little bit hydrating. So for me, that's going to be something either like a cream or something liquidy. But again, I want coverage, so it's going to be more on the creamy side. In the Lancôme Tint Idole Ultra Wear Camouflage Concealer, this concealer right here, it has great coverage, and it gives me the look I'm looking for. It's non-drying. It does me right. So this is what I use. So again, I don't do foundation underneath the eyes because this is going to give me everything I need, and I want to try to eliminate product as much as possible underneath my eyes. All right, so I have my Petri dish and my concealer here. I'm just going to put a little bit here on this Petri dish, and we're going to go from there. I have a Bare Minerals brush that I like to use. It's a really thin brush. This is also the brush I like to use for my brows. As you can see, it's really thin. Okay, see how thin that is? So I just like to dip here and just place that product right underneath my eyes. And for me, when I highlight, I do not like to bring it, I don't like that lifted look like on the side of my eye. I don't need that. I want the lift like underneath my eyes. So anywhere you highlight is going to give you a lift, and I don't want that lift on the outer corners of my eye. I like my highlight just in the center of my face, and I know some people do above the lip. I don't like that either. So here is the product that I have left. You can see there's still quite a bit left. Again, guys, a little bit of this goes a very long way. You can see it's not budging. It's not going anywhere. So I like to let my concealer sit. So I'm gonna let that sit while I do my brows, and I shall return. All right, so my brows are done, and my concealer has maybe sat for about 10 minutes. All right, so we're just gonna take our beauty blender. I really love using a beauty blender, a blender that's really soft but has a little bit of density to it to blend out my highlight. And I just like to press that in, swiping, because that's gonna pull the product away. So we're just gonna like pounce on our skin. Okay, we're just gonna press that in, and while we're pressing it in, we're blending it out at the same time. I say we because maybe you're following along with this video, right? So as you can see, I'm just pressing that in and blending out the edges as I go. And then we're gonna do underneath the eye. And for me, for underneath the eye, I kind of blend down and up at the same time. I try not to put like a huge amount of product underneath my eye to prevent that creasing, and then just press it in. So I'm pressing in and out, not pulling it way up, but just pressing it in. I like my highlight to be like centered in my face. Press it and blend it out at the same time. And depends on the product you use. Some blend out a little easier than others. Okay, you can see we're well balanced. You can see we're well balanced in the center of our face. I do like to go back in with the foundation brush that I use and just press around the edges just to get a nice blend. Okay, just around the edges. All right, and since we're doing highlight, let's talk a little bit about contour. Okay, so highlight is going to bring forward, contour is going to sink in, right? We want to chisel that face, or maybe the nose, or even the eyes. You know, a lot of people, for instance, like Oprah Winfrey, she has like larger eyes. Notice that Oprah, for the most part, she always wears a smoky eye, because it's going to give the appearance that her eyes are a little bit smaller. Maybe not every time, but very often she wears a smoky eye. Take note. All right, so for me, I like a contour that's more like on the bronzier side. Well, I can think back to when I worked for MAC, and you know, they were training us for contour, you want something more, I would say, like more on the grayish side, I would say, for women of color, just to mimic like the natural tones in your skin. But for me, I like a bronzier contour. So for contour, I like to look at the top of my ear as a guide and bring it down from there. And sometimes I'll even smile. And you can kind of see that natural curvature of my, you know, where I smile. That's exactly where I want to place that. And then I like to do a little bit on both sides here and here. And since we're contouring, let's just go ahead and do our nose. I'm going to start at the edge of the brow and bring that down. I won't go into detail with the nose because I did do a nose contour video here recently, a couple videos back, so you can go back and watch that in detail if you need to. Those of you that have been watching my videos religiously know that I have been stalking hummingbirds. I have a hummingbird feeder right outside my she shed, and I'm always looking for the hummingbirds because they're so tiny and beautiful. I just love looking at them. Okay, so for me, for contour, yes, my brush is dirty. Yes, because why? Because I use it. All right, so again, I just like to press that in. Oh, and there's one. Oh, it's so cute. Okay, I like to press and blend that out at the same time. Now, although I'm pulling the product down just a little bit, when I applied that, I did not bring it all the way down because I knew I was going to blend and pull that product down a little bit. Okay, so also when I contour, I like to overlap my highlight. That's going to blend that out a little bit more. And also, a lot of people, they will go over the highlighted areas with powder, which to me is another step. I want to eliminate that step of powder and extra product. So I'm just going to overlap my contour a little bit, and that's just going to blend that out really, really nice. We want to blend that out really good. And just to shape the face, depends on your face shape and what works for you. Same thing on the forehead. I'm just, whatever's left on my brush, I'm going to tap around where I applied that product. That's one thing I do not like, and I can remember early on when, you know, I started doing makeup. Sometimes this section was just not blended out, and it would just be, you know, it would just be a harsh line between the highlight and the contour. So we want to make sure we blend that out pretty good. Okay, and I'm just, same thing on this side. We're just pressing that in and blending at the same time. Colors do you use when you contour? Do you use something more on the bronzier side or something more earthy? And then I'll just tap over this because again, we want to make sure, and you can see it's perfectly centered. This side I'm gonna do a little bit more, perfectly centered. Okay, You can see that nice highlight. If you feel like you need more, just go back and put a little bit more. Just put a little bit right there. Just so you guys can see for the camera. Okay. All right, we're just gonna make sure we get a good blend all the way around. All right, so for my powder, I have the RCMA powder and a little bit, well, RCMA powder and the Sasha Buttercup mixed together. I usually just go strictly for the RCMA powder, but I don't have any more here. I need to go to my office and get some more. But this is what the powder looks like. Okay, so before I set my highlight, I'm going to go back in with my beauty blender, especially under my eyes, and make sure nothing is creasing. All right, I do like to look up to make sure I get every crevice. And the same thing, when I'm setting my highlight, I'm gonna pull that down over this area. Make sure everything is set and blended. So, you know, we're already having to set this area. Why go back over it with another powder when you don't really need to? Some people will put their highlighting powder on and let it sit. I don't do that step because, like, my highlight for me is bright enough. I don't need, you know, to let it sit to get brighter. If you want a brighter highlight, you can definitely do that. Okay, now that all of that is set, I like to go in with my blush. And guys, many of you know I will use whatever is within reach. So for blush today, I'm actually using an eyeshadow. I'm gonna go in with this color here at the bottom. That's gonna go right between that contour and highlight. That's just going to assist in blending that out a little bit more. See, that looks totally blended. And for my shimmer highlight, I'm using this palette here. Actually, when I got this palette, this last color was broken and it's just getting worse and worse. It's a beautiful color, just a little bit messy. All right, so for my shimmer highlight, I'm going to use this color here. It's a real pretty, like, golden color. It's a real, like, I love using really softly milled shimmery eyeshadows for highlight. Look how pretty that is. So on this side, ooh, a lot of that came out, and I like to do my forehead as well. But also I do like to go back in with my foundation brush and just push that in a little bit. That way it's not just sitting on the skin. All right, so that is it for my highlight and contour. I'm going to set. And I'll be right back. All right, guys, so I am back. This is my completed look. And you can see everything just real, in my opinion, everything looks nice and blended. You can see the center of my face is highlighted. My chin highlight is a little bit too wide in my opinion, now that I see it. So I'm just gonna tone some of that down. You kind of see it gives me like a little button chin. But yeah, this is my look. You can see the contour there, really nice and subtle. You want everything to look as natural as possible, and in my opinion, I think this looks really nice. All right, so that is my video. Definitely let me know if you guys have any questions about my technique. Or my question to you is, do you think you would try this technique? Do you think, you know, it's easy enough to try if you're someone that does not highlight? Yeah, so definitely drop that down below. So that is it for my video. Thank you guys for joining me. If you're not following me on Instagram and TikTok, give your girl a follow at LRH Makeup. Also my second handle on TikTok, which is _beauty over40. And of course, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please consider subscribing to my channel. Turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified when I upload new content. All right, guys, until the next time, remember the best makeup you can wear is confidence. Bye.